guy is like cracking a smile. He's like, all right, man, like we're gonna have a little bit of fun on stage here.
Yeah, and again, look, we're seeing them kind of like having to prioritize different things. The Yuumi, the Cassante, and the Lee Sin all banned away by the side of BLG. This time around, they banned the Cassante themselves. They don't want to pick it, but they do not want to give that over to the side of ZDZ, who had a very good game. And unfortunately, when you leave something open, you only have 3 bans, you're going to end up having something like this. The Milio is being picked up right now for BLG. The Aphelios maintaining a ban against Elk because he's just too damn good on the pick. So you just go Zeri Lulu here to try and lock in your... You're ready to get it. I would prefer to actually maybe see them go Zeri Wukong, but wait and see what they actually want to go for.
Ooh, maybe try to snag this away from the side of BLG. Yeah, they're just going to try and take the Lucian Nami immediately, which for BLG, there's a couple options. You could go for this Jinx. I know that people have been playing Zeri. For everybody at home, please do not play Emilio with Zeri. The Q interaction does not work with the additional bonus damage that Emilio provides with his passive. Just a little note out there for everybody at home, please. And for BLG, I think that there are still a lot of options, right? Like the Nico might be gone, but okay, Elk reaching for the Kog'Maw. How often? We'd have to check some of these stats on this.
I was gonna say we have had it so far in the LPL. It was in week 1, I believe.
It was Ultra Prime. It was Doggo and
Ultra Prime Doggo. But yeah, haven't been seeing a huge amount of it, if I'm being totally honest. It is still very much one of those fringe picks that kind of comes out of it. I think we've had it maybe once, maybe twice. Can't remember exactly if it is. I'll have a quick check on the exact matches it was able to play on beforehand. Yes, it's been played twice. Once by Abel, once by Doggo. Both have been losses. Once against an Aphelios, once against Azaya. This time, though, it's going to be against a Lucian and a Nami, so we'll see if anyone can really go for it. And look, the Kog'Maw, the puppy, has been definitely something that can just plant its feet and just do so much. And I'm glad, again, this is something that BLG have been doing so often, is that when they have a 1-game lead and they know they can kind of be a bit more, you know, kind of free with their picks, they do go for these compositions that are slightly harder to execute on, and they continue to do that because they know that if they can get these ones down right, then the regular compositions that are, you know, an easy executionable, they're going to have those in the bag.
They're probably playing those games, the standard compositions that we've come to know during this meta. They've got those hands down, right? They've played all of them. They've played them in stage games. They've played them in playoff brackets. They know how to do that. The only way that you can get better as a top team when you're starting to kind of get diminishing returns on playing multiple different comps is let's try to expand our champion pools. Let's see how far we can push the brink of our players and see what works, what doesn't. What if we can maybe have something that we can pull out in a game 5 where we really need it to matter? And I love this. It's an exploration of kind of different strategies. Do I think Kog'Maw Milio is that different from the norm? No. But it is, like you're saying, 0-2 right now in the LPL, and it seems like anyone's legends are like, hey, BLG, that was a pretty cool comp. Can I take most of it? Can I just borrow this homework from you?
Yeah, except for the bot lane. Can I have, like, the bot lane wasn't bad, I don't think, for the AL bot lane, but Again, I don't expect to see much else from here. I actually would love to see a Malphite or something come out here for BLG, but I mean, also down for 100% going to resets and damage capabilities, not even a protect the puppy composition, just a jump on everybody composition if they do lock on this Jax.
Big eyes will be on Yagao yet again here for me. He's the only one that has reliable crowd control with the point and click and with his Tibbers. Whereas for AL, the second that this team gets a little tanky, I am afraid for BLG as they have a ton of options to get onto the back line. This Kog'Maw will be under threat of not only the Nami, but this Gragas. Anyone's Legends, I think, have a very good composition as it stands right now. It seems like they're going to be giving ZDZ that Gragas instead, and they want to get more aggressive in the mid lane, harder taking up that Ahri.
Yeah, getting the Ahri in, very powerful combination with the Kazakhs, having that mix of magic and AD damage, but I mean, BLG have just got straight into a very curious kind of setup right now where the Kog'Maw will have the Milio, but is the Milio enough to keep him alive from a Gragas, an Ahri, a Kazakhs, a Lucian, like so many things that are going to be jumping right in on top of his space, in his area, if you will. And it's going to be on Elk's positioning and the rest of his kind of, you know, kit to try and make sure that he's able to put out the DPS. It's not that they're lacking in DPS, it's just that you don't want the Kog'Maw to be useless in these team fights, and he definitely doesn't have the same mobility as something like a Zeri in the last game.
We may have kind of glazed over it a little bit there towards the end of the draft, but Bin is going to be on that Jax.
Yeah.
Do we think we're good? Like, how likely is it we're getting that Giga Bin coming back?
I mean, it's hard. It's always hard to say, but I mean,
Yeah.
Jax being one of the bigger picks for this man in his career, of course. I believe it's I think it's like a second or third most played champion. I can have a quick look now. Yes, third most played champion in his career. 57 games, 37 wins, and 20 losses. With this game, he'll bring it up to his second most played, which is going to be the Renekton on 58. And I mean, this guy has done magical things with this pick in the side lanes before. That's why you pick the Gragas into it. It is a very solid kind of, you know, just absorb the pressure kind of laning phase. But we'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds. Both teams are locked and loaded. It is BLG with a 1-0 advantage in this series. AL looked like they had some answers, but not them all in the last test. We'll see if they can come into this particular game a little bit more prepared. And wait to see what Elk can do on the puppy as he picked up the Kog'Maw.
Not a great matchup in the top lane. I'm gonna need more Chayos real quick.
All the Gyos. They know it's going to be the last one. ZDZ
Way too far up.
Yeah, he's not going to die, though. There's no real way they can kind of get on top of him here. They're just going to continue to harass him backwards and put him down to about half HP as, you know, no real kind of CC after the Counter-Strike is down.
I like how Bin is just not letting him recall. You're not allowed to stay here. Either going to be forcing him to stay in this lane at 60% HP or arrive late. ZDZ, I wonder if... Okay, so ZDZ's just going over to give potentially his jungler a leash or protect them from what is a suspected invade. And good job from BLG support on immediately finding this ward, stopping any early jungle tracking coming in from anyone's Legends.
I'm trying to see if they can maybe stop this bot lane from getting in, but 5 gold, winning the lane now for AL. That's it, it's done, it's over. 5 gold confirmed. Again, just kind of waiting to see where this kind of goes. Like, again, we're going to have the junglers just kind of hard farming up to level 6. There's not really a lot they can do pre that, so wait to see where they kind of go for. And if Shun can have the same level of an impact that he did in that first game, that's going to be the big key, I think, for both these teams, to see if Shun versus Xiaohao is the key breaker between these two sides.
We're talking about doing some innovative pathing here. Well, Shun trying to get an extension on his red buff here, making sure to get over onto these Krugs. Looking at maybe an early bot roam here. Will get spotted on this war that's outside of the Tribrush. So is going to be a big damper on some of those plans that they were looking forward to, as Chichoyi and Zora, they're standing their ground. They're in the middle of the lane. They still have both of their summoner spells here, and Shun just going to have to look harder. Is just getting ran right now by Yagao.
Yeah, definitely feeling a lot harder for him to really make something happen against this Annie. And again, Yagao knows how to play this champion. Doesn't feel in any way, shape or form under pressure. It's why the Annie is so good into the Ahri. The Ahri can survive, but the Ahri will need to kind of do a bit of, you know, positioning, get a couple of good charms off to really change anything else. As we can see now, Shun being a bit of a nuisance here, trying to see if he can maybe steal away this blue, but I don't think he's going to have the pressure from mid or bot just yet. And yeah, Xiaohao already a camp ahead. It's going to be difficult for Shun to really make this this steal stick.
He really wants to get this going and on.
Oh, Elk's dead.
I don't know if they were... Oh, yeah. Whoa, Elk.
Yeah, Elk is almost dead, but the Milio with the
No
knockback.
way.
Oh, the heal and the shield. Just enough to keep him there on, keeping his AD carry nice and safe. But great move from Xiaohao, I got to admit, to put some pressure on this bot side. Now, does he know where the rest of the enemy team are? That's the question.
I love that they were looking for the ZDs. He's going to get this solo kill on the Bin, man. Has to flash, potentially.
He's potentially looking for a flash right now. He doesn't want to use it just yet. There's a bit of... Oh, he goes behind him. Bin looking for a bit of a trade back. He's going to pop down the Counter-Strike because there's no mana on the Gragas. ZDZ very, very close to going down. I got to be excited. That looked like it could have been the biggest big brain play in the top lane ever.
Oh, he looks a little... He was a little upset there. You saw the head nod. He's like, whatever. Fine. Gets the flash out of both of them. Man, that was incredibly close. And It just means that BLG are going to go a little bit even here between them and anyone's legend, as Shun not able to find an early roam, most of it to protect Elk from Zhao Hao, them not able to find that kill. I thought it was going to be the good luck charm for today. I thought we were not going to see Emilio game, and unfortunately here, BLG have struck me right in the heart, and they have taken away that most beautiful essence of not having to see this champion played.
But it gave us a Kog'Maw. That's okay in my books. You know, that's an okay situation.
Fair,
sort of,
fair enough.
Something different to cleanse the palate. You know, I'm not so mad about I'm not so mad about supports as I am about AD carries. As see a little bit of a trade back here. Elk taking a huge amount of damage, just trying to stand his ground as best he possibly can. This is again the power of having that ignite, just putting in so much work onto the trades of the AD carry of BLG.
And when you're cutting down the healing from On, it's pretty difficult for them to deal with. Shun is making his way down here again with his pathing, fishing out on those Raptors. You see the pings, they want to start up. I like those pings because it also means that AL know where Shun should be. If he is following the same kind of jungle camps, he should be on this bottom side of the map. So right now, Zhao Hao is going to finish off those wolves and make his way down here just to cover for his lanes. If he can stop this gank and stop Shun from any early shenanigans, again, great position for them.
Doesn't look like Shun's going to go for anything too aggressive. He needs to get level 6 pretty soon. Speaking of level 6, there's a nice engage in that mid lane. Harder taking a huge chunk of damage, but doesn't lose his ult himself. Zhao Hao now moving himself stealthily into this bot side. The wave is pushing in favor of BLG, which means that Zhao Hao knows there might be a little bit of an overextension, but looks like a reset coming in here. I actually think if they don't go for the big trade onto the Kog'Maw...
Oh, wait, he's staying!
He's staying. I don't know if he needs to right now. The wave is pushing back in favor of AL. Try to go aggressive. Oh, Elk. They're thinking about it. Now they're going to jump in on top of him. He flashes away. On does as well. It's a 2-for-1 summoner trade in favor of AL. Nicely done there by Zhao Hao to keep his patience.
Big win for them, and they should be able to get this turret under the wave. Oh, God. ZDZ, can he make it out? Fancy feet?
I think he should be able to. He guessed which way that the Viego would be going, and he guessed correctly. And that means that Shun, without the Heartbreaker, are not going to be able to kind of follow up on that one once more. Does force out the Gragas away from that lane, but now Harder recognizing there is no summoners on this bot side. You're playing weak side now, Elkanon. You have to leave. You cannot stay here anymore. They only lose a couple of minions, so it's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, this Kog'Maw still needs time to build up to be a big old dog that can protect the family.
Anyone's Legends, man, they are at least trying a bunch of things. They're making sure that Shun, who is such an early game engine for BLG, can't get anything. He's keeping up in farm. He's maybe down a single camp for Zhao Hao, but really good play from them, utilizing and leveraging their bot lane priority from this Lucian Nami, as well as I think Harder, despite taking some pretty bad trades into Yagao, is making the best out of the situation and is always looking to try to roam with this Ahri.
It's about how it is. We saw in the interview with Yagao that it's about mid lanes, about who can kind of control the tempo, get around the map a little bit more and have an impact there. Level 6 is hit, but both these junglers now, as Shun starts to go in and look to be a bit more aggressive. I would like to see if he could maybe go for something. It's a risky one to go in up against a Kha'Zix, and maybe he just looks for the smite to get out. That might be the play that comes out from the Viego right now.
I think it's just going to be this smite steal. Oh,
not quite. Not quite.
Shun's down bad right now. There's so much he wanted to do in the early game, and every single one of these plays is getting stifled. There's nothing for him to get. It feels like he's just getting stiff-armed at every single opportunity.
Oh, there's a heal coming out from On. Needed the healing and a little bit of movement speed to kind of get back on track. We do have decent damage coming out here now from Elk. You got to be very, very careful. They say that huge damage coming out. No heal available. One more tick. Ooh. Oh my lord. He was burning, but he wasn't going to go down. And there's been so many times now where Elk feels like he should have died. He should have went down. But he has just been able to survive. And the thing is that if he doesn't go down, yes, he loses his farm and a little bit of the turret pressure goes over to the side of AL. But not dying still means that he's, keeping himself, not giving over free gold effectively.
For sure. this does mean for anyone's Legends that they are going to be grabbing this dragon, and that is part of that dragon stacking that we saw. Still a pretty different style of game that we're getting from BLG, where none of the early plays are working. Shun is essentially just full clearing at this point, where he can't really look for anything. He tries to go for ganks. Someone is there to stop him. Xiao Hao is just smiting a little bit better on his own camps. And this bucks the trend from a lot of their stats. They are one of the teams that almost always is able to get a first dragon, is always looking to control most of the dragons. And so far in this series, anyone's Legends has made sure that that is not going to be the case.
And again, it's what I've been talking about. BLG just kind of picking up slightly harder to execute compositions to see, honestly, kind of just checking to see where they can and cannot make the plays. Like this little ward that's just behind the players in bot side there, because you're going to have the Unleashed teleports coming up now in a couple of seconds. So maybe a slight play to work with here if they do end up kind of moving forward on top of that. Would be able to spot out Shun as well, so he's been perfectly spotted out here as well, but I don't think it's going to really matter in the grand scheme of things. I think he's just going to push in this wave and maybe look to drop the Rift Herald.
This is just waste his time, 2023 right now. Shun unable to get anything here. So for BLG, they're just waiting. Now we're just going to be looking at team fights as the game goes on. For anyone's Legends, you are continuing to scale. You're getting more and more gold under Jichoyi, as Bin uses the ultimate just to try and get this wave under the turret at this point, and so he can get his back in. Wants to just try and crash this because he doesn't know where the enemy jungler is and has a very high likelihood of this turning into a potential gank for him.
It's 11 minutes nearly into the game. We have yet to see first blood. It's been close. God Lord knows it's been close, but so far, no cigar. TP coming in from ZDZ to put him straight back into that top side. That's a bit unfortunate because Elk and On are going to be here to maybe go for something here. ZDZ didn't spot them out, and the Viego is here as well. They're going to try and jump in onto him straight away, and they're going to try and burn him down. Welcome to the campfire as Milio finally gets first blood.
They still have the Rift Herald here, and when we're talking about protect the puppy comp, you are just putting gold more and more into this Kog'Maw. So cutting the wave, Shun is going to get his cut. He's like, Milio got the kill. I need to be picking up some farm here. As Xiao Hao jumps in, but Shun just ducks right underneath him at this point. Zora is going to be here to match. It's going to be gold going over to Choyi while he's matching this Jax. That's a dangerous matchup to be in.
It is. 2 plates are all they're going to get in that top side there, but half the damage onto the turret as BLG get that kill, keep the gold fairly even. Didn't have to use any summoners there either, as Harder is now on this top side. So there's 3 people here for only the 2 of BLG. Puppy needs to be a little bit careful. Not quite got the Gwynzus just yet to go for a stopover onto the Berserker Greaves beforehand, but again, little small things that are coming in right now. Milio getting up to those 2 quick cooldown items, getting the ability haste on the Ionian Boots Lucidity and the Kindle Gem. Very, very good. And even has the Fairy Charm as well for a little bit of extra mana as well. So really like that On getting the most out of that kill, even if he's not the one they wanted to give it to, still gets plenty of value out of it.
Remember, this is also the patch where Ardent Tensor is nerfed for people who are trying to rush it on early. So still has the same effectiveness. I think it's going to do the exact same thing it would in every other game, but the actual numbers are tweaked just a little bit more. And for BLG, with this Rift Herald coming up in the next 2 minutes, I think they are very keen on trying to grab this objective. If they can do this to try to open up either a mid turret or finally knock down this top turret, they'll be pretty ecstatic where they are. This game is incredibly slow, and I'm sure probably Shun, of all people, is getting frustrated and like, we need to make plays. Like, I'm not just going to let this game go by and say, hey, let's not just do anything. Let's try to scale. Let's try to do something. We are one of the best teams here in this region. We need to be showing we should be showing the pace of the game and setting what the LPL looks like for the rest of these teams.
Absolutely. And just to kind of build off of your point you mentioned there earlier, the Ardent Sensor was tweaked a little bit. It's no longer a hyper late game kind of, setup either at this stage. Elf's going to have to use the heal from Milio to keep himself alive, but used to be between 15 and 30%. You get bonus attack speed depending on levels, so the higher level you are, the higher the attack speed bonus would be. Now it's just a flat 20, so still pretty good. In the early game, it's actually slightly stronger, to be perfectly honest, given how the item works, but you're no longer kind of dealing with this uber scaling item that's also fairly cheap to build out of your repertoire. As we now see Shun Gonna see if he can steal away some of these Raptors. Should be able to get that steal down and get himself a stack off of the Smite item. And again, it's a very, very slow game. It does feel like BLG are the ones with the, as I mentioned, the harder to execute composition. They need to have a lot more, I suppose, conditions met before AL can really get caught out by them. And AL have a lot more available to them. I feel like with the Kha'Zix and the Ahri being able to have such mobility, catching someone out shouldn't be that big of a deal.
I don't think we're going to get much action, so I think this is the perfect tangent time. Do you remember when Smites were, like, a lot different? Not just the Spirit of the Elder Lizard. Not that one.
I remember what was before Spirit of the Elder Lizard? So I can't really remember what it was.
Well, that was at least for me, that was my first iteration of the Smites. And then afterwards, we did like we had like Wriggle's Lantern.
That's right, yes.
There was Sated Devourer. I just remember the ones where they all looked like different axes, or like specifically like Poacher's Knife, and then they had the enchantments which were the jewels. You had like Warrior, Magus or something, and that's where we ended up getting like a pretty funky build from Power of Evil with like the Smite mids.
That's right, actually. Yeah. Oh, man, you know what? I'm gonna say it. Like junglers get wrecked in preseason. Like junglers are just told to learn an entirely different system compared to every other role that just has to make sure they don't lose. Like, oh, my item's changed. Okay, well this one kind of does the same thing, you know? Like it's incredible what junglers have to deal with on a regular basis in this game.
I'm just gonna let you know, I don't think Shun's gonna text you back with this kind of attitude. Just letting you know.
I'm telling you, man. I'm just saying, like. Hey man, gotta always try. God loves a trier, but
true,
yeah.
True. All right, well, this is the play that we were setting up, right? Them for BLG ignoring the dragon and moving over towards the Rift Herald, wanting to just say, hey, we're gonna forego the stacking advantage that maybe a Drake would give us later on into the game and get early gold, try to destabilize the map. Yagao trying to do this again.
Ooh, he looked to try and maybe get a bit of CC, but it was buffered there. TP gonna be coming out with a charm from Harder to make sure Bin could not join that fight. Doesn't mean it's gonna stop BLG. They're looking to try and make sure they can get on top of this mid lane, but it's difficult to do. Again, the Shun Viego is good, but is it that good? Whoa, that's a very aggressive play coming out here from the Lucian. Will force out both of his summoners and the heal. Harder looking to try and be aggressive. Immediately gonna have the campfire and a flash away. Lots of summoners burned across the board, but that TP bot from bot means that Bing gets a couple of free hits on this, and that's gonna be the tower for sure.
I was gonna say, I think Harder actually made that play very good for BLG by canceling the teleport. That would have been something that Harder could have used to push onto this turret with Bing gone, but now they are moving all across the map, and by spreading your resources too thin, they lose out on 2 turrets, so a massive swing of gold here for BLG.
Yeah, I mean, like it felt like AL were ready for what they wanted to try and go for there, but then because they were so quick to the trigger on the teleport from Harder, because no one died, but summoners were down, and Elk was still very healthy with, you know, the BLG on. Oh, I stopped myself. Has been spotted out as the rest of BLG are moving in. There's a flash available for Yagao if he wants to go for it. It looks like he does. The flash in. 2 men get caught in the trap. And that is an easy double kill coming in for the side of BLG. Now they've got themselves a couple of kills. No Baron to speak of for the moment. No real objective for them to take. But they'll get the gold and they'll be happy with that.
And they'll be able to take away some of these camps away from Zhao Hao. Harder, you have ultimate coming up soon. Flash is available as well, so that's 1 summoner spell, and Bin is more than happy with that trade. He's going to move on, continue to collect this wave. We'll see what BLG can do. Yagao backing pretty close to Zhao Hao, but we're just going to jump straight into this replay. Bin was seen here. I think this is a pretty massive mistake positioning-wise from Chichuyi. Why walk into this bottom side? You know the Jax is coming, and it leads to this.
I think he didn't really have a choice, though. I'm gonna say it was either walk into Bin or walk into Yagao. There isn't really a choice there. Ooh, one more Q from Shun could have maybe taken out Zhao Hao, but a flash from the Choker of AL keeps him alive. And this is the thing. This is where we're coming. Oh wait, hang on. Yagao's dead. How did Yagao die?
How'd that happen?
Yagao died. So yeah. It is unfortunate that Yagao died, but he did die.
It was this play. Okay, it was right before the replay. I was like, Yagao is backing right now, and Zhao Hao is here, but ends up walking away. Yeah, okay, jump, tippers, even gets the stopwatch out of him, which is huge. One of the more important items here as Shun goes in.
Yeah, Shun goes in, and Shun might want to try and run out because he is being assassinated. Double TP, it's going to be the top laner and mid laner of AL and BLG respectfully. Again, this is why the Kha'Zix is becoming a bit of an issue now in the draft phase, I suppose, because you're having those little small isolated moments. This should put AL onto sole point. No jungler to speak of for BLG, and no way to kind of really force themselves back in on top of this objective means Ocean sole point for them.
There's no turrets for them to play with either, so anyone's Legends fighting themselves in a pretty good lead. This is, I think, as even as the gold has ever been, sans the start of the game in both series here. And they are taking our first place team to a potential Game 3 here, which not many other teams can say right now. There are two others, RA and EDG. They're not impervious, but every single game has looked close. And right now, I mean, what are your angles for BLG, right? Because usually it's Shun with a massive gold lead looking around to kind of swing that wallet and get in the faces. Elk is still waiting for his items to finish, and while that is happening, Jichoyu is picking up more and more items, farming more of this first strike gold. He's going to be playing as aggressive as ever to make sure that BLG do not get a chance to breathe.
This is the thing, you got the Cogmaw kind of putting up, but if you can't plant his feet, can't put out the damage, he really does struggle to be relevant in any way, shape, or form. Yagao was a little bit overextended, but still does have a turret, so should be fine to kind of come out. I will say, while this is all happening, Bin is building up towards his Zhonya's Hourglass as quick as he possibly can, so definitely feeling like he is going to be a little bit more relevant perhaps in the later game team fights. We do have vision control belonging to AL and a little bit of a flank as well, and they're looking for a TP. Plenty of damage coming down there. Look at this puppy go. They're trying to see if they can get on top of Elk and isolate him out. There's going to be a charm, but he's not dead just yet. Harder trying to see if he can kill him off, but they just have too much. Now Bin with the stopwatch keeps the rest of the team engaged. Will end up being traded back, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. No charm from Shun, not quite as practiced on the Ahri as maybe he is certain other champions, but how the hell does Elk not die?
There was so much shielding coming out from On. There's maybe a reason why this melee champion is a little busted on this patch. Anyone's Legends come out the worst for that trade, not only giving over 2 kills, but using both of their summoners here. Let's look at a replay of this. I like the idea, punishing this, trying to get Elk in a very difficult position up against this terrain. But, like, either Harder just doesn't have enough damage, or right here, ZDZ, because he's in stopwatch, he can't activate the cask.
Oh,
so he's missing out on damage.
That is so unfortunate from ZDZ to save his own life. It meant that the Cogmaw couldn't be taking his. And the funny thing is that because of that, Harder then doesn't have any resets on his Spirit Rush. There's so many little small things that change the dynamic of that fight just from that one little stopwatch play. And you never know sometimes how things are going to go, but I definitely think that BLG are counting their lucky stars with that one, because again, they didn't lose anything off of that. ZDZ was the one who started that off with the flash, and Harder used his teleport, so in terms of summoners, they actually came out on top.
Exactly. 2 minutes before the Dragon, I'm expecting for BLG to try to contest this, but there is a Baron up at the same time, so I could see a world where BLG forsake an Ocean Drake and try to start up a Baron, force AL's hand.
Let's see what they want to go for. It looks like Bin's setting himself up around this area for the moment, and maybe thinking about going for a fight there with Xiaohao, but without any real support coming in from the rest of his team, difficult to really make that 1v1 go in your favor. We got first item, or second items being completed by most carries across the board. Even have a Zhonya's here for Yagao. Still has that flash for potential flash tibbers. And Runan's Hurricane here available. Ooh, thinking about it, but not going to commit to it just yet. They know there's a flash on pretty much everybody on the side of AL. They don't want to overcommit, because I mean, this Kog'Maw's already starting to do work from a distance.
Every single time that Kog'Maw has the W available, the Hurricane Barrage, that is just a time that AL are not allowed to step up on throws down.
They know Yagao is here.
Cooldowns.
They know Yagao is here. Yeah,
he's got flash if he really needs it.
Yeah, he's going to use that W to kind of back himself away here. Will realize he's been spotted out on a pink ward there now, so we'll see Charm going wide ever so slightly. ZDZ doesn't have flash. Going to have to use that explosive cast to try and catch out the Kog'Maw, who flashes away. They're going to see if they can take him out, and they will. Oh. No! Stun none to be found there for Yagao, but Bin is moving forward with Sean, and the resets are good. Do they have enough damage? That is the question. Not quite able to get the rest of the team, but it's a 1-for-2 trade. Yes, you got the Kog'Maw, but you traded back 2 in your favor.
Ooh, I was looking at Kog'Maw's items, and that Runon's being finished before that last fight. He could have done so much more damage if he had not gotten exploded around as we get right into this replay. Shun playing very excellently, mechanically speaking, just dodging out on a lot of skill shots. And while Elk is kind of just tossed around and unable to have too much fun, the fact that Shun can find these resets, make up for the rest of his team, having some pretty big mechanical failures there, is awesome. This continues that idea that we had thought that this team can really carry from anywhere. Last game it was Yagao and Shun. Seems like right now all eyes are on Shun while Elk is still building his items.
There's a pink now on the back of that pit, but that means that they're not going to see Bin and Shun kind of roaming on. They know that he's here. They're looking for the Kog'Maw, but I don't think you're going to be able to get it. Let's see a TP from Yagao to bring him right back to his own mid lane. Bin and Shun looking to pincer in here, but AL keeping themselves relatively close together. Harder had to flash. He knows he needs that Spirit Rush. ZDZ getting jumped on here, but it's actually Shun who has to go golden. Can they protect their jungler? No, they cannot, is the short answer. Maybe there's a little bit of a trade back, but a double kill comes in from ZDZ. AL will get themselves onto Soul Point. Or empty it's Soul Point. They're on Soul right now, and BLG, they're just a bit too scrappy.
Ashin, are we about to see another upset here for BLG? It's looking very likely with how this game is going. They're moving straight over to the Baron now. And only Elk and On are alive. I mean, Bin pushing out this top side. He's trying to get as much work done as possible. Maybe he tries to overextend for a tier 2, but there's just no avenue for BLG to move in right now.
Oh, they gotta be careful though. CDZ sitting there off to the side. Do they let this Baron go? I think they do. Yeah, they're trying to back themselves away. Bin thought about it, but it's just too risky. There's just no way the health bars are low enough on the side of AL. So massive swing of gold brings AL into the forefront of the gold lead. They've got themselves a soul as well. They are looking pretty good to maybe get themselves another game in this best of 3, because again, just Elk getting caught out a little bit. It forces the TP from Yagao, which I actually think is the biggest problem here, because On is able to get away from Harder, and that means that Harder is just, you know, kind of overextended, but he's able to get out with the flash.
I was wondering, I mean, Yagao is just nowhere near this fight. BLG maybe feeling a tiny bit disoriented as to what they should be doing right now. Which is, hey, we're grouping, we're going to try and make sure that we're protecting our Kog'Maw, we're getting vision where we can, and staking a claim on jungle entrances. I think the most important one is going to be this Raptors on the red side. It stops them from entering Baron, it controls a large portion of the map as well, entering mid lane. Instead, they say, hey, Yagao and Elk, you're nowhere near in DPS threat range. Let's just have Shun and Bin duke it out amongst the rest of the AL team.
How, but I haven't taken him out just yet. There's going to be a good charm and Spirit Rush from the side of Harder to make sure he does not go down. But while this is happening, you committed members to the top side. That means that mid lane is exposed. You should be able to get back to defend just in time here with Elk and On, but not going to quite really work out for the side of BLG. And you can feel it. They're feeling like they need to go for something a little bit more drastic, a little bit more desperate to make sure they can come out of this on top.
Right now, it seems like they're waiting for Elk to finish this third item, which looks to be a wit's end, making sure that he can stay alive. Bin has his hull breaker, recognizing that this game is looking a tiny bit shocked if everything keeps going the way it has. With this Runon's, BLG should not be afraid of a mid lane being collapsed, but top lane right now with so many wards, with so many ways for anyone's legend to jump over this wall, unless they start to put down vision, it can be very scary for them to walk in a fog of war.
Trying to see if they can catch somebody out with Harder on a charm, but look at the shred. Gotta be very careful. ZDZ gets himself over the wall. Not quite able to burn any summoners just yet, but Elk's already down so low. These 2 cannons should be fine to take down the last tier 2 in the top side. That should be an easy little rotation out for AL. They got a couple of things. It's not a huge swing of pressure, but it's enough for them to get enough kind of, you know, of these towers down to make it harder for the side of BLG to get into their own jungle.
I'll take a 3,500 Baron lead off of that. I feel good about that. 25 seconds means by the time they get back to lane, it is going to be over once they reach the inhibitor, so really no point in doing all that. 2.5 minutes before this dragon. Ashin, this is the only way BLG can get back. Split pushing is not an option right now. The team fights are not going very well. Almost everyone is behind in gold to their counterpart. If they can steal the Elder Dragon, that execute by itself is the great equalizer for these two. But they just can't walk into their own side of the jungle.
Yeah, Baron does get taken away, so they're not going to have that for the moment, at least. Bin looking to maybe be aggressive, but again, what engage do you have? It has to come from Yagao. He has to be on a flank, find a bit of pocket of vision where he's not being spotted out, and maybe BLG have enough damage to maybe burst out the Ahri and the Lucian, but we'll have to wait and see if they can keep Elk alive. That could be another win condition for them, but they really want this final tier 2. Here we go. They're going to try and flash in, try and get on top of this Lucian. He doesn't go down just yet. They threw everything at him, and he still stays alive. Didn't even have to burn his flash because Bin wasn't there. It just feels like, yes, you're going for it, but you need to go as a 5-man unit. You can't be going in 4v5.
Just nothing is working out for BLG, and AL are in prime position. They are in pole position for them to just completely run over the rest of this game. 1.5 minutes before that Elder, they have, even whenever they're taking damage, Ocean Soul is healing them back up, Bin forcing the flash out of a couple members, but a re-engage on the table.
It's difficult, but you can see that AL still need to respect it. This Kog'Maw can do damage. You're so close to a Rabadon's death cap here as well for the Annie. Would love to have that finished up just before this Elder Drake fight. And this game isn't over. This game could just straight up be flipped over who gets the Elder and who doesn't.
Well, we get to take a look at this replay as to what happened. I feel bad, obviously, for Shun, but AL just played this so well. The bouncy house castle that Shun had to deal with of Nami ultimate, Gragas ultimate, and then harder with the Ahri. Those these jumps are just so difficult to lock down any member of anyone's Legends, and so they're going to continue to compile that gold lead. 3,000 for them. And this is a roster of fresh faces, some of them from other previous iterations of the roster, but Chichoye coming in and his debut split, having a fantastic performance against one of the best bot lanes here in the LPL.
Oh, there's a good charm onto Elk, which means he's already so low. On has to flash away while Xiaohao keeps chase. They've gotten rid of the Viego. Now they're going to try and kill off the Kog'Maw, and they will do just that. The resets, the hops, the skips, the jumps. AL found their mark. BLG just could not get their Kog'Maw going. They wanted to try and see if the Milio Kog'Maw was worth it, but it shall look like it will be going to a 0-3 scoreline here in the LPL. Xiao still trying to see if he can find out where Bin went, but not to be done for the moment, and he's all alone in the world. I don't think Bin can 1v5 as much as he tries.
He's going to be sitting under his Fountain or Nexus turrets here. 15 seconds before Shun is alive. Elk, same thing. AL, they're going to have to push the boundaries here, get really close and intimate with some of these turrets.
Yeah, they're going to try, but already Bin just cannot hold the line. He's going to go into a stopwatch. He had his Zhonya's for the last second, but it's going to send us to a Game 3. 6 games in the day. And AL get themselves back on the board. 1-1 now with a scoreline.
Only fitting that BLG, after being on a tear for the last week, decide, hey, we're gonna go to a Game 3. Congrats to anyone's Legends. I did say at the beginning of the series that we were gonna have to take one game at a time, and while Game 1 they weren't able to clinch it out, Game 2 this was a lot closer, and obviously they take down that Nexus and look down, potentially giving BLG their first loss of the season.
I mean, potentially it's one step in the right direction, and again, look, AL just kind of called